So I'll give a deep dive of the TestKitGen. We call it TestKitGen because it generates all the test frame infrastructure and the harness to enable us to run the test on the local environment or in the CI environment, such as Jenkins or Traverse CI later. Here's the agenda. I will first show you how to add a test, then how to run TestKitGen, then how to compile test, execute test, and what is a preferable way to disable test, and in the end, how to interpret the test result. This is a typical TestNG project structure. We have the test source file written in Java. Then we have a playlist.xml file. This is a file we use to define all the test attributes, such as the test name, the command to run, and so on, for the TestKitGen to generate the makefile. And we also have a testng.xml that's used for the testng harness. In a command line test case, we will have a command line test.xml. To add a test, we want to add a test source file. Then we want to update the playlist.xml file. Here is an example of the command of the playlist.xml file. We have a test block defined, and one test block means a test target. And then we have test case name, and the variation means the JVM options we want to run against the JVM. And then we have the command. And the command can be anything. It can be Java command or shell command or anything we want. And the platform requirements will restrain the test to run against only certain platforms. And the levels groups are used to define the test target group. In the when we want to execute test, we can do make extended. Then this test will be executed if it tagged with a level extended. Then impulse and subset means the Java version and the JVM implementation we want to test against. After we update or add a new test block in the playlist.xml file, we want to update the testng.xml or command line test.xml. And to run the TestKitGen, we first clone our source, then we go to a test config folder. Then we want to do some required environment variable exports. We have two required exports. The first one is Java Bean, and the second is spec. We have a list of specs defined in the OpenJ9 repo in the spec files. And there are also some optional environment variables, such as Java version, Java import, and build list. The build list is used to specify a test project we want to compile and run against. In the case we want to run only a single project, we don't want to run the whole project, we can use the build list. And after we define these environment variables, we can run make-f run config.mk. This will generate all the test make files based on the playlist.xml. And if we want to export, we want to switch the environment variables, we have to make run-f. We have to make -f run config again. To compile the test, it's very simple. Just under the test config folder, we do make compile, and it will call a make get dependency target, and it gets all the dependency needed. To execute test, we can execute an individual test. Here is a flow sanity test block defined in the playlist.xml, so we can do make -- flow sanity tests. That will run all the variations defined here. But we can also run a specified variation by append the test name with a certain number, such as 0. Here means no options. If we append with _1, means mode 110. We can also run a group test. Since we already defined levels and groups, we can run tests by levels, such as make _sanity, or groups, such as make _functional or _system, and so on. We can also combine them together, such sanity.functional. we are also able to go to a specified directory to do the make target. The target will be the same thing. We can use a test name or use a group or level or combine them together. Or we can use make-c in the test config folder. After we run a group of tests, if there's some failure, we can do make_failed. This will rerun the failed test in the last run. To disable test, it's preferred to disable a test target altogether by using the disable tag inside the playlist.xml. But in some cases, if we want to have more granular control, then for TestNG case, we can go to this TestNG exclude.txt under this location. Then we provide the TestNG method and the class inside this file with some issue number and the platform we want to exclude. How do we interpret the test result? At the end of a test target, we will see a test target summary, and it shows up all the test and failed test targets, and also the number of each groups. The TestKitGen also generates a tap result. The tap result is called Test Anything Protocol. It's a protocol used by multiple Jenkins plugins and readers to read, and it will generate a colorful representation of the test result. Here we can go to a Jenkins link. So here we can see the tap result we can view from the tap test result. Here list all the test target. And we can also take a look at the tap result from the tab extended test results. And it also lists which test failed and the failed output of the test. And here's another failure. And we will also notice there are some test NG results. This is not a complete set of tests because there are some tests written in command line test structure or the other forms instead of TestNG. So this only represents all the TestNG test cases. So to view a complete set of tests, we want to take a look at the tap result.